Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'd like for everyone to go ahead and introduce themselves, say a little bit about how you're connected to this internship program, and then we will start in with our questions. So first, Megan I'll introduce first, since she is our intern coordinator, and she's going to be steering this, this party that we're having here. So go ahead, Megan. And I'm Ashley McArthur, by the way. Sorry.
Ashley. My name is Megan Murtaugh, and I am an intern from 2014. I was a Cochrane intern, and I took over as the intern coordinator for the AECT Leadership Development Internship Program. Prior to that, Tanya Dusay was my predecessor and really helped guide this program into the program that it is today, and helped me by providing all her documentation, passing it forward. So that's been very helpful. But I really enjoy serving in this role as the coordinator because I got so much out of my internship experience, and I look forward to be able to share that with future interns.
Thank you. All right, Muhterem, did I say that correctly?
Yeah, you did it exactly correctly. So I'm Muhterem from University of Oulu, Finland. I'm a postdoctoral researcher here. I am the Jenny Johnson intern from 2014. I was with Megan in the same cohort, and I'm glad to be here with you today.
Thank you. And then Wendy?
Hi, I am the Strobin intern from, I had to look on the chart to remember the year. Time goes by. From 2015, I'm a graduate in the PhD program at Virginia Tech, and that's where I'm sitting right now in Blacksburg, Virginia, in my home. And it's been an absolute joy and honor to be part of the leadership program and to be friends with everybody who's associated with the program, even remotely.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you all for joining us to share about this very special and amazing intern program that AECT has. And I don't use the word special and amazing lightly, because this has been a life-changing program for everybody involved in it, which you all will hear more about as we progress through this presentation. So Megan, go ahead if you want to start sharing about the history and everything and what exactly the program is.
Okay, great, thanks. I'm going to be as brief as I can. That way there we can share our experiences actually being interns in the program. But I definitely want to give you some background information and application information. There are 3 different leadership development internships. We have the Carl F. Strobin, the Lee W. Cochrane. Both of those internship designations are managed by the intern coordinator, which is the position that I hold right now. And then there's a third leadership development internship, and that is the Jenny Johnson internship, and that is managed by the international division. So the selection process, I should say, is managed by the international division. And then usually at convention, the intern coordinator kind of manages all of the interns and helps with scheduling and getting the interns to participate in different events and things like that. All of these internships are based on people who have been key figures in the AECT organization in the past, and want to encourage the continuation of leadership development within the organization. And that is why we have the internship program, is to continue that legacy from our past leaders in the organization. So some of the highlights of our internship program are that you as an intern are featured and highlighted throughout the international convention that is held every year. And you will get a behind the scenes look at how the organization operates, and you'll be engaging with different leaders within the field and also within AECT, and have interactions and meetings with previous leaders, current leaders, and really get a behind the scenes look of how the organization operates. Then during and after the convention, you'll be paired with a mentor who helps you focus on a goal and develop that goal or achieve that goal over the course of the following year after you're an intern at the convention. The other thing that you also do as an intern is with your intern class. So depending on how many interns are selected each year, you'll work together with your intern class to complete a class project. So that is one other highlight that you have the opportunity of doing with the program as well. In order to be eligible for the internship program, you need to be a graduate student or a new professional within the first 3 years of entering the field. So that is something that's a little bit different now than when the program first started. When the internship program first started, it focused mostly on graduate students. But we know that people who are just entering the field, our new professionals, also need support in developing leadership skills as well. So that was incorporated and changed as of 2013. All right, so the internship criteria, basically what is looked at in your application is different areas of service that you have completed and continue to work on, your commitment to AECT, your leadership within the field or in other organizations besides AECT. We also look at your professionalism, how things are presented in your application packet, and also that your goals and interests are aligned with the goals of the leadership development program. So those are the things that are looked at, and more detailed information about these areas is available on the website, and that's aect.org/intern program. You can find more information specific to each one of these criteria of how your application is evaluated by visiting that site. Each year, the application cycle opens in April and closes in June. Our next cycle for 2019 will open April 2nd of 2018. I'm sorry, 2018 intern, not 2019 intern. Getting ahead of myself. So our intern application will open on April 2nd and it will close on June 4th. And those dates I have again towards the end of this information session. And basically what's considered your online application packet are your responses to the candidate statements, your CV or resume, and also a sponsor letter. So those are the 3 items or the 3 different components of the intern application. In regards to a sponsor, you need to have a sponsor who is a current AECT member, and the sponsor can only support 1 applicant. That is probably the most common issue that I have to deal with when I'm managing the intern application process, is contacting applicants who listed a sponsor that's already been identified by someone else. So make sure that you check with your sponsor to remind them that they are only allowed to sponsor 1 applicant, and if they're sponsoring you, that they can't sponsor anyone else for the AECT internship. Also, your sponsor should be knowledgeable about you. It shouldn't be someone that you just pick. It should be someone that knows you and knows what your characteristics are in regards to this leadership development program. They need to be able to speak about you in their recommendation letter and be knowledgeable about what you do and what you've done. So it's very important that you select someone that knows you and maybe even has like a working relationship with you in regards to how you present yourself and how you have worked in leadership roles. So that's very important. So our application timeline for this year, like I said, the application opens April 2nd and will close on June 4th. And then after the selection committee reviews all of the applications, the selection is announced usually during summer leadership, which this year is in Kansas City, which is our convention site. And that summer leadership meeting is usually the week of July 20-something or other. And this year it's going to be July 26th and 27th that we're in Kansas City for the leadership meeting. And typically it's the first day of the leadership meeting that we do the announcement. So it's, the candidate slate for the 2018 conference will be presented to the AECT board, and then they'll approve the selection, and then notification will go out around that date to let everyone know who applied, whether or not they were selected or not. And then the conference location, like I said, this year is in Kansas City, Missouri. And the dates of the convention that interns will need to be present. Now, this is a little bit different than how long the conference actually runs. Interns need to be present October 21st to the 27th. So those dates are just a little bit different. You come in a little bit earlier than everyone else. We started that last year, and I got really good feedback from the interns last year about coming in early and getting a better behind the scenes look. They get to actually see how the convention is set up before everyone arrives. So they really get an all-inclusive behind-the-scenes look at the experience. So that's what I wanted to share today about, background information about the internship program. But like I said, you can find more information on the website page, aect.org/intern program. And there's also, when the online application opens, the link will be live there on that website.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. And yeah, as Megan said, please go look at the website page itself. If you're looking for very specific information on how to complete this process, you're looking for specifics on the rubric, that is your resource aside from these videos. So now we're going to delve into some questions, which is the more life-changing aspect that I was referring to earlier. What makes us so special and amazing are the individual perspectives on this internship program and everything that's happened with it. And then Megan, feel free to contribute also, because you were an intern as well. So our first question is, how did you begin your leadership quest in AECT?
Okay, maybe I start first then.
Sounds good. Thank you.
In 2013, I attended AECT conference in California. It was the first time actually I came to US in my life. There I met some of the interns, 2013 interns, and I was really amazed with the leadership development program, because normally when you talk about interns, like they are the ones doing the nasty job behind the stage. They let's say carrying projection devices, finding laptop for the people or whatever, but that was completely different. It's like really kind of supporting those people to be the leaders, to be the stakeholders in this community, although they are quite young. So that really grabbed my attention. I thought like I should try my chance with this internship program. And of course I was not in US and my studies was in Turkey. So the only option for me was I searched and it was the Jenny Johnson internship program. And in 2014, I applied for the Jenny Johnson International Internship, and I was lucky to receive it that year. And 2014, I was in Jacksonville with Megan and others as the intern. That's how I started and ended.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'll go ahead and share mine. I guess next.
Thank you.
My leadership experience started when I attended in 2012 in Louisville, Kentucky. And it actually is funny because it was the end of that convention, and I was sitting in the conservatory waiting for the shuttle to go to the airport, and I sat next to Tanya Doucet, who was the 2012 intern, one of the 2012 interns, and she was also coming in as the president of the GSA, of the Graduate Student Assembly. And I started talking with her, and she's like, and partway through the conversation, she was like, you should really consider running for a GSA position. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, why would someone recommend that to me when they don't even know me? And so that's kind of how I got started, was Tanya kind of nudging me and saying, hey, you should run for a GSA position. And then she followed up and sent me an email and was like, hey, would you consider running for a position? And the rest is kind of history, I guess. And so I started getting involved with AECT that way through GSA. I ended up by getting elected as the Graduate Student Assembly representative to the AECT board. So I got to sit in on all of the AECT board meetings as a grad student. And I got a behind the scenes look that way to start off.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that's a fantastic opportunity, Megan. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ashley.
No, please go ahead. I'm here just to kind of moderate. You guys are sharing. I'm happy to listen to everything.
Oh, great. So I got started in being active in AECT through History Makers. I believe that program has changed names since, but that was something that Barbara Lockheed was highly involved in, and she was my academic advisor. So she pulled in a group of students to work on that project together, and so I was a camera operator and occasionally got put in front of the camera, if scheduling challenges arrived for some of our more of a people in a more leadership role like Barbara Lockheed or Miriam Larson. So that was just an absolute joy to be able to be in the room and meet some people who, I've read their books, I read their research, and I have so much respect for them. And my jaw was dropped. So I knew I was in the right place. I had so much respect for everybody. And the first other thing that I did was through Tonya Doucet as well. She is the little instigator of bringing people together. It's just wow, what a special person. And I saw her post in social media, I believe. And so that's just such a great thing about our community is that, if you're active in social media, you're going to be able to see opportunities. And if you pop up and say, I'll help, people are going to take you up on that. And there's a great way to make a lot of connections. So you don't have to be around a team at your school. You can be remotely connected and still make a lot of friends. So she had posted that she needed some help with printing posters for GSA. And that was for the Louisville conference. And I said, I can do that. And I thought, okay, I'll figure out how to do that after I pretty much did it. And then I knew that I could get these posters printed in the educational lab. And, the professors there helped me process that through without having to have any payments. So they helped me, with that process. And I brought these big posters on the plane and that big roll thing that you bring and delivered it. So that was my first I feel like that was more of my first contribution to the other students and things that they were doing. And then it just built from there. I was pulled more into GSA from that opportunity. So
awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. So our next question is, do you have any tips for those who desire to become AECT leaders? And if you guys are okay, we'll just go through the same process. And then if anybody wants to chime in at any point, please feel free to do so.
Well, my suggestion would be first be part of the AECT. It's a very multifaceted organization, so I'm sure you'll find something you'll be interested or which will fit your qualifications. Definitely, there are lots of divisions there, and I'm sure you'll find a space which you will fit perfectly. So I would suggest first be part of the AECT family. My suggestion for the international students is if you are not located in US, at least try to attend the AECT conferences and try to extend your network in the AECT family, because that's very important. And definitely you cannot be a leader in a context you are not part of it. So first be part of it. That would be my suggestion.
That's awesome. Thank you.
I agree. There's definitely an area for anyone to get involved. Always a place for you. There are so many different divisions with different interests, and some of the division interests overlap. So you can be a part of more than one division. There's always work that needs to be done. Being that this is a volunteer organization. So if you're interested in getting involved and providing service, there's definitely a place for you. Not just at convention, but even before convention. So you can always contact the leadership of the specific division that you're interested in getting involved in, and sending them an email or trying to contact them on social media and just say, hey, I'd like to help out. What projects can I help you work on or whatever. And that's definitely a way to get involved in AECT and to start to develop a leadership role in the organization. Just offer to help.
Yeah, that's great advice, Megan. Just to follow on that, because there's not too much else I can add to that, is I have never heard of anybody volunteering for something and getting turned down. On the contrary, it's been great. I so value you doing this. We appreciate you. Let me bring you into our community and let me introduce you to people and let me get you started. And they don't put you in a position to fail. They don't put you in a position where, you know, you feel like, I can't handle this. There's always somebody with you, especially as you're getting started. And then as you grow in those roles, you may be put in, you know, in the more forefront of, you know, leading a smaller team, you know, on bigger projects. An example of that I know of is Megan, when you had organized all of the GSA programs for that. I don't even know what year that was. And I was one of the team members with you, and you did an extraordinary job. So there's an example of somebody who had stepped up. You know, obviously she didn't know anybody when she was sitting on that bus with Tanya, right? They didn't go to the same university. And here she's put in this role. And you know, that is also an example of just the extraordinary bonds that can form when you get put on small teams, because I feel like Megan, you know, and others here, you know, are my friends for life. And I'm truly blessed by that. Anyway, I segued.
That's perfect. Yeah. Absolutely. All right, thank you all. All right, so our next question is Convention Week truly as busy as they say?
Yes, it is very busy, but it's busy in a very positive way. So it's really amazing to meet all those professors you have read their papers, because as a beginner in the academic field, we just kind of grew up by reading their works, and it's amazing that you are introduced to every single of them, and you also attend all those AECT board meetings and the stuff, and you develop your network and plus your knowledge and understanding on what's going on behind the AECT, behind this historical, gigantic organization. So in that sense, yes, it is busy, but it's really amazing to be part of that business as well. So there is nothing to be scared about.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. Thank you.
Yes, Convention Week is crazy busy. I can remember the week that I was an intern, that I would start, our breakfast started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and sometimes events went until 7 o'clock at night or later. Sometimes there were some events that didn't start till 8:30. So I can remember not getting much sleep that week and joking that I needed to take a week off after convention so that I could recover from sleep deprivation. But, you know, it was definitely well worth it, because the connections that you make and the network that you start to develop is just amazing. And, you know, like it's been said before, is the people that you meet and connect with, and, you know, they're just very genuine people and very supportive. I can remember meeting a couple of different leaders in the past, and them just being very supportive. I can remember specifically riding on the shuttle in Anaheim from the airport to the hotel with Anna Donaldson, and I had never met her before, and she just started talking to me, asking questions, and that was the year that I had entered the Pacific Core Design and Development Competition. And I told her about that, and that I was one of the finalists. And so she just, anytime she saw me throughout the convention week, she kept asking me, are you ready for the presentation? And then after the presentation, she was like, how'd the presentation go? And she just kept checking in with me, and I'll never forget that. Like, there's always been someone that has reached out and kind of made me feel that I was part of that professional family. And so that convention week, when I was an intern, I tried to do the same thing. I tried to kind of pay it forward, you know, and reach out, because like I said, Tanya was the one who encouraged me to start my leadership experience in AECT. And so I said, well, you know, when I'm an intern, I want to do that too. But even outside that intern week, I've tried to do that as well at any convention that I've been at, or summer leadership meetings. Just be open and approachable, and welcome others who are traveling that same path that I started on.
I love those points, both of you. You know, to extend on that, yes, it is extremely busy that week, and I would say sleep later, connect now. Just embrace that and drink lots of water. That was my big mistake. I didn't drink enough water to stay hydrated, and that can really get you more fatigued during the week. But it didn't stop me, that's for sure. And And I love the point Megan made about, extending the hand backwards to others. And I definitely had that done to me. And so many, I could just sit here for a long time just to name everybody who has helped me in my journey and continues to help me today. I'm so blessed by everybody. And I've tried to do that as well. And I won't name names of things, but yeah, it's great to see people that I have been involved in their path become up and coming, and also become, some of the leaders, and it's rewarding. It's a great community.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all. All right, so our next question is, what was the most valuable part of the internship for you?
Well, there are many valuable parts, but I would like to talk about something unforgettable in my life. It was Breakfast with the Champions, actually. Breakfast with the Champions event is like the well-known so-called legendary professors in the instructional design field. They sit on separate tables for the breakfast. You just grab a coffee and walk from table to table and just have a chat with any professor you would like to talk. And after that breakfast event, the champion professors have a photo together. So when they were having that photo session, I just threw myself in front of them on the floor and had a photo with them. So and I kind of still keep that photo with me, and that was one of the most valuable or unforgettable moments for me. Souvenir I brought from my internship.
Wonderful, thank you.
I'm thinking that, yeah, that was definitely, the Breakfast with Champions was definitely a great opportunity to connect with leaders in the field. I liked being able to go into meetings that I wouldn't necessarily have attended otherwise. Being an intern gives you that backstage pass. So having that medal around your neck basically is your key to get into anywhere you want to go. And so I attended several meetings, leadership meetings that I wouldn't normally have attended, and got to, sit in, kind of be the fly on the wall and see how things ran and what was discussed, and how they talked through different issues and things like that. So to me, that was a very valuable experience.
Oh, wow. It's hard to think of other examples, but one is that during the intern experience at the conference, just that piece of it, you get asked to do things with short notice to help out at a lot of different areas. And it gives you an opportunity to meet people you never would have happened to run into, because it was so informal. And that creates a lot of opportunity for, just chatting and becoming, more connected in a different way, just because of the spontaneity of that. And that's been fun. Like, where is so much? I don't even know what they look like. How can I go find them? Because that was part of it. We would get instructed to go take care of things for people. And sometimes Hank Tao and Jason and I we didn't always know what they looked like. So we couldn't find them. And so we just had to run around and get help. And that was a really fun experience in itself. And the other memorable piece was at the university reception. That was another place where we all got asked to do extra things, just without knowing ahead of time. And I met so many more students. And then honestly, when they see that medal around your neck, it does give you the opportunity for a lot of students to come and introduce themselves to you and ask you about the program. And that was fantastic. I mean, that was emotional to me, that other students were excited about the internship and continuing in that this tradition, and had the respect for the program like we did. And I don't know, it was great.
Wonderful. Thank you all. All right, so we have two more questions. Our next one is, what was the most challenging part of the internship program?
Well, for me, since I was not able to attend to previous AECT events before my internship, and apart from the conference I attended in the previous year, so I didn't know many of the AECT members actually. So the biggest challenge was actually remembering or keeping the people I met during the conference in my mind, because I met like dozens of new people, if not hundreds. So like remembering all of them was a challenge, definitely. And from more technical aspect, Jenny Johnson intern attends a Socratic seminar. In the Socratic seminar, the Jenny Johnson intern sits in front of several professors, mostly from the international division, and the intern should come up with a question in his mind about a field or about a research issue, and you discuss that question with the professors. And unfortunately, I wasn't aware of that event just 10 or 15 minutes prior to the Socratic seminar, so it was a bit challenging to me to come up with a question in 10-15 minutes, but somehow I managed, and it was fun and amazing after that, but that was a challenge for me.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, that would be challenging. Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. So my answer is going to be a little bit different because for me, thinking about challenge, I'm thinking more of before convention week, back to the application process. I applied more than 1 year to be an intern because the first year that I applied, I didn't get selected. So for me, the challenge was trying to figure out what I needed to do to set myself apart from other applicants that second year that I applied, because I had had some leadership experience. I was already the GSA rep to the AECT board when I applied the first time, but then between that first year and that second year, I took on a lot more leadership in the organization. Like Wendy said, I ended up by planning the whole GSA track for the convention for 2014. And so when I did my application in 2014, I could write about that experience and how I played a role in that and how I worked with Wendy and Hang Tao and worked with a team and led a team in order to put together that track. So I had been involved in more activities and I had more projects that I had worked on at that point that I could talk about and describe. And that's what strengthened my application that second time around, as opposed to the first time around where I had a position, but I didn't necessarily articulate what I had done in that role. So sometimes applications can not be that strong, even though you have leadership roles in the organization, because you're not highlighting what you did. You just talk about the position that you held. So it's really important to focus on what you accomplished in those roles and talk about what projects you worked on, what role you played in those projects, you know, what the benefits of those projects were, or even if the project didn't go well, reflecting on that and then maybe talking about how you would do something different in the future. You know, just kind of giving more of like painting a picture, I guess is what I'm trying to say, is like in your application, you have to kind of paint a picture of like what you've done and what your abilities are to show that you have potential to be a future leader or continue to be a leader in the organization. So to me, that was the challenge, was figuring out what I needed to do and how to present myself to highlight what I had done from 1 year to the next.
Awesome, thank you.
Oh, those are great points. How do I extend on that? That's what I keep saying, isn't it? You both are rock stars over there. It's hard to go last. Let's see. Yeah, it was a challenge preparing after that first year of applying and not getting accepted. Though I do think I am not alone in saying this, that any one of us who has been awarded this honor would have been volunteering for a lot of things anyway, because it's who we are. So I don't feel like anybody here or anybody who's not here who has done this in their heart, they are serving because they wanted to. They're just more aware of it. And they, like Megan saying, you need to, be more aware of like how to reflect that in your application. And that heart does come through. I think people really can tell that in the, who's got that kind of soul to them. So I love that about everybody in this community too. I think one thing that Megan touched on is that people are doing things that others don't know about. That is a great point. So it can be easy to look at somebody and say, I'm not like, what did they do? I don't know what they did, or I think they had this role. They could be doing so much behind the scenes that only a few very select private people know about in the executive level. And that was the situation for me. I'll just say there was a project, I think Megan knew about this afterwards, but There was a project that I did that I interviewed all like division heads from every single division and did a huge qualitative analysis and like did interviews, and it took me over the holidays. That's pretty much all I did. I derailed my dissertation process. I missed an exam cycle, no joke. That was a choice. And it was a fantastic experience. I wouldn't change it. And I know I'm not the only one who's got a crazy story like that. So I did sacrifice that schedule, and that, you know, things get wacky when you miss that, right? And then in the end, it was a situation, honestly, where very few people knew I did that. My advisor knew, my committee members knew, and the people who read it knew because it was private. So it's just, yeah, there's a lot of things that are going on with anybody who is going through this process, and just being supportive and kind to everybody, and knowing that if you're serving with them on something, they're probably doing other things too, and they may not be able to share that with you, like Megan I know has done too. So it's just, yeah, just a little behind the scenes, I guess.
Absolutely. Thank you.
I think sometimes too, when people just have it in them that they want to provide service, you don't necessarily look to get credit for it. And so part of the application process is you really need to give yourself credit for what you've done. I know a lot of people just serve just to serve because it's intrinsically motivating to them and satisfying to them. But as part of the application process, you really need to reflect on what you've done and then give yourself credit for it, because that's how you're going to get identified as a potential leader in the organization through this internship program. You really have to give yourself credit for what you've done.
Right. And that can be so hard of the kind of person who is probably watching this, who really has it in their heart that they would love this opportunity because they love AECT. But that is a process we have to go through, is to get over that in ourselves and say, okay, I have to shine on this paper. I have to say what I'm doing. And why, that's wonderful advice. That's where it can be very helpful for, to be having that advisor or the person who is sponsoring your application. That's why it's so key for them to know things about you, because they can be there and remember things that you don't even remember and bring things up. And I remember that did happen to me. I didn't remember till just now, but Barbara Lockie had put some things on I didn't remember at all. It went off my radar, but yeah.
And that reiterates another really good point about having your sponsor really know who you are and the things that you are doing, so that they can accurately support everything that you're doing, like that, things that you contribute that you might have missed or forgotten about. And just can't state that point enough, how important it is to pick a sponsor that really does know who you are and know what you can contribute. So thank you all. That was excellent. So our last question is, what is the one thing that you would tell someone who says, I want to be an intern?
Well, first I would congratulate him or her, because definitely it is a sign that he has a big ambition to contribute to the field of instructional design and AECT committee. So he has huge ambitions to build his or her career or life around this community, actually. So it's a big commitment. I would first congratulate him or her for that. But the thing is also, the big ambitions, you can only reach them, access them through small steps maybe. So I would suggest them to take those small steps, develop your qualifications, and go through the guidelines of application, and take the first step and apply to the position, to the opportunity. That would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
My suggestion is kind of the same thing. Like I said, it took me more than one time applying to be selected. And I know that there's other people in the past who also have applied that didn't get it, but then applied again and were selected. One of the things that we do as part of this selection process is, if you're not selected, if you contact me or whoever the intern coordinator is, and ask for advice or suggestions for how to strengthen your application the next year, we're happy to do that. We'll go through and we'll review your application, your statements, your CV, your sponsor letter, and let you know what areas you could improve on, or give you some tips of what you should get involved in, things like that. Even if you're not sure that you would get selected, in the year that you're applying, still apply, because every year that application pool changes. So you never know who you're going to be being compared to. So, you might shine against the pool that's in there, or you're not, depending on how much experience you have in the organization and outside the organization, because they also look at leadership outside the organization as well. But I would say just apply. And then, like I said, you can always ask for feedback on your application and then use that feedback to help strengthen your application the next year.
Oh, great advice, everyone. Let's see. I would say, what would I tell somebody who wants to apply for the internship, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I would say reach out to us for help. And I would just say, how may I help you? Because you can get other people who have been an intern to review your application. They can give you feedback. And just beyond editing, they may even catch something as a friend that you missed, or help you position things or align things just a little tighter from their own experience. And Sylvia Rogers was just one person who did that for me too. So, and Tonia's feedback when I didn't make it was a huge help to me the next year. So that both of them, without them, I wouldn't be sitting here. No. There's so many people that if they hadn't been in my path, I wouldn't be sitting here. I think it's really the composite of everybody in this community who help us all rise, to be in this, to have this honor.
Wonderful. Thank you. So
Sylvia helped me as well. She reviewed my application the second year.
I love her.
Yeah, great. The one recommendation though that I give is don't wait until like the day before the applications are due to contact an intern to ask them to review your stuff, because that's not really good to do that. So yeah, if you're planning on doing this, I would definitely say start preparing your materials early, and then have people read through it and and give you some feedback on your responses and stuff like that. Like for me, I would put down examples or whatever, but I didn't necessarily provide enough detail. So when Sylvia reviewed, she'd say, can you elaborate on this a little bit more? Or, how did that project demonstrate leadership role, you being a leader? So, having someone else read it and using that lens of, how does this paint a picture of you as a leader, definitely can help them strengthen what you put out there for your application. So that would be my recommendation. Start early.
Awesome. Thank you all. So are there any other things that you want to add about your experience at all?
I think I have talked about most of the stuff I would like to say, so I think I'm done.
Thank you. Megan or Wendy? No? All right. Well, first, I would like to thank you all for doing this. It's such valuable information to people who are interested, and to provide them with this insight and your individual experiences just not only highlights the internship, but highlights AECT and what's so special about the organization and the people within it, and how this internship program can better connect you with those people and allow you to contribute to something that's so much bigger than all of us and is just so special. And thank you in particular, Megan and Wendy. This was their brainchild last year, their idea to really put this information out there. So thank you guys for beginning this and organizing this. It's just so insightful for someone who's like me or Sean, who will host a webinar later today. People who are interested in this and maybe didn't really know how to access the information that you all have provided. So thank you all so much for doing this and going above and beyond. It's just wonderful.
Be sure to tune in and join us as our special edition webinar series dealing with the internship program continues.